Cardfight Vanguard has been one of the most important things in my life, and I've had it for about half of my life, which is kind of crazy to think about. You know, I'm kind of an old man now, but that's fine. But with the recent news of Premium not existing, and we lost V Premium, I think 2 years ago now, I wanted to make a little video to just kind of commemorate my feelings for this game and talk about kind of what we've lost because the company doesn't value it anymore. And I don't want this video to be a negative video. I don't, because you and I, we can both spend like the entire day nailing Bushiroad for not valuing. It's the same that Yu-Gi-Oh players could do when they discontinued Edison and Go. But for me, I want to have a nice positive look back without any of the negativity. I just want to tell you about my life with Premium and V Premium, and obviously Premium is everything, but I don't want to go into the standard bit. Like, not a lot changed for Premium with standard, like besides like a couple of decks, right? So it's not, I don't want to give standard any attention in this video. I want this to strictly be for what we've lost, and this is going to be something you can listen to in the background. Like, think of this like a podcast video. Just throw it in the background, and I would really appreciate it if in the comments below you could tell me, you know, some of you, if you're a Premium player, you're a former V Premium player, you're a former Vanguard player because you left because standard wasn't doing it for you and you've lost your formats. I would love to know some of your favorite decks. I'd love to know some of your favorite experiences. Drop it in the comments. I would love to hear, because I want this to be a really nice post that people, including myself, can look back on and reminisce on the good times of this game. Not that we're necessarily in bad times, but we've lost a lot of good times by losing our legacy. And the easiest way to start it off is my Vanguard story. And my Vanguard story was, I was in 8th grade, and which long time ago, way long time ago. I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh with people, like I normally did. And, you know, I played the same deck over and over again. I played Heroes. I liked Heroes. Heroes were cool. And I was looking for something different, because I'm the kind of guy that can play the same deck nonstop, but every once in a while I want a little bit of a change up. Not enough that I'm going to, like, you know, die over it or anything, but like, it's nice to have a little change up every once in a while. And I was on YouTube just looking up different Yu-Gi-Oh decks, looking for something. And I saw someone posted episode 30 of Vanguard without all the extra like story stuff. They just posted the fight. And I was like, I've never heard of Cardfight Vanguard before. I don't even know what that is. So I watched it, and I was immediately like drawn. I was sort of figuring out how the gameplay was working, but I was drawn by how cool the unit cards looked. And then I saw Dragonic Overlord come into, like, on the grade 3 turn, and it was amazing. It was cool. I was like, what is that? That's awesome. I've never been so excited about seeing a card before, besides like hero support or Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So I looked into it. I started, you know, I started watching the show, obviously, and then whenever I was out in stores and stuff, I was looking for this card game, hoping I could find it, which I had no luck with for a bit, you know. And eventually I came across, or I went to Texas for a family trip, and at the Walmart there, they had trial decks 5 and 6, which was the Great Silver Wolf Garmor and Thunderbreak Dragon. And I was blown away. I was ecstatic. I was like, I can finally play this game. I can finally, you know, battle people the way that these people battle each other. Like, it was going to be so cool. So I picked them up naturally. and they had a couple booster packs there, so I picked those up too. And I pulled. I didn't realize how important it was at the time. I just thought it was very fancy foiling. But I pulled the SP Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel, and I was like, oh, I got the guy. You know, I got this guy. He's kind of cool. And then later I found out he was an SP, and I was like, whoa, that's insane, right? But you know, I went playing those decks, watching the show, keeping up with stuff, and I just fell in love with the game. And I begged my parents, and other family members, I was like, hey, for my birthday or Christmas, if you find this anywhere, any form of it, this is what I want. This is everything I want. Like, I couldn't think of anything else. And somebody gifted me the Overlord trial deck, and I was like, this is fate. This is everything I could have wanted. And I played it, and I didn't have any of the upgrades. I didn't have perfect guards. I didn't even have a full set of Overlord. I didn't even have a full set of crits. I had 4. It kind of, you know, but I had a great time. It was great, you know, and you know, life kept going on, and I expanded from my small, you know, the small portion that I had, right? Eventually I saw the first 2 boosters randomly chilling at places. So I picked up some stuff, got some upgrades for Kagero, mostly in the forms of Lizard Soldier, Conroe, and like an extra crit trigger, which was fine. And then set 2, I was able to pull Scarlet Witch Coco, which at first I was like, I've never been interested in Oracle Think Tank, but like, you know, maybe down the road, right? And from there on, you know, every booster set, I was able to at least get a box. Sometimes I was able to like get a couple boxes, like, you know, as gifts from people, or like if I'd see the packs in the wild, technically I'd get enough to get like a box or 2, because I was addicted to this game horribly. And in the show, I saw later, I saw Dragonic Overlord the end, you know, after falling in love with the original one, and I said, I have to have that card. I have to have that deck. And when I knew they announced the date for English, I worked my butt off. I was mowing people's lawns, getting any money that I could, and I came up to my mom, and I was like, listen, I don't know how else to find these cards besides Amazon, but if you did me this one-time favor of buying this deck for me, like, that's all I need. That's really all I need. And they were like, you know, she was confused, because I don't think I've ever been that passionate about something before, at least not to my knowledge. But she did it, you know. I gave all my money to her, and she ordered the stuff, and I had it. I had Overlord the End when he came out, and it was everything, you know. And mind you, this wasn't like that my other decks weren't as fun, you know. Like, I had a really fun Gold Paladin deck, basically, you know, using Great Silverwolf Garmor and the Ezel that I had. It didn't have any perfect guards, but you know, it did the job, right? I had a fun little Narukami deck, but there was nothing that quite satisfied me in terms of playing Kagero as a clan. It did something about playing the deck kind of like just flipped a switch in my brain, and I was just like, this is everything I want. And I don't know why, but this is everything that I want. And then, you know, as time progressed, you know, the new format came out, and we finally got a card shop in my area, which we had never had before. And they, you know, they decided to start carrying Vanguard product because it was the hot new thing, you know. So I was able to get Break Ride format decks, you know. I was able to get Liberators. I was able to get Eradicators. Naturally, I dumped as much of my money as I could into set 11 because I wanted Dauntless Drive, so I could do Dauntless Drive with Dragonic Overlord at the end. I wanted to do the 3 attacks. I was so excited by it. And then the next set, I got to try Raging Form Dragon, which was my first actual trying Shadow Paladin's Nation. I was like, well, this is great too. It's not Overlord, but this is really great too. And that was kind of my high school career, was just picking up stuff for decks that I liked. Just whatever I could procure for my decks, I procured for my decks. And we hit Legion format. Well, I guess I should say, before we go into Legion format, the ending of Limit Break format was just a dream for me, because it was Dauntless Reverse into Novel Vogue into Dragonic Overlord the Rebirth. I was happy. Not that the other decks were bad, but I was just so happy to be playing Kagero all the time. And we got to Legion format. And Legion format, the store was a little skeptical about carrying Vanguard anymore, which was unfortunate, because we had like a small but like decent Vanguard crowd there, right? But they were like, I think these next two sets, which were the Legion sets, were going to be the last thing we had for you. And it kind of broke my heart, but I understood it, right? Because at the end of the day, I would feel bad if somebody did somebody carried a product just for me, if it's really not like selling anywhere else. So I got to play Legion format with the group that I had, and we played for a little bit. We got to play through the decks. I got to play Overlord the Great. I had a Bluish Flame deck that was really fun. Obviously I picked up I got to pull like 2 copies of Revenger Phantom Blaster Abyss, so I had like kind of a janky Revenger deck, which was fine. It was totally fine. I had a good time with it. But that was it for my Vanguard journey for a little bit. And I just kind of had to live vicariously through people online. I had to like just keep up with the show. I was like, okay, well, if the show's still going, that's how I'll keep up with stuff, and I'll just have to kind of be content and just go back to kind of playing Yu-Gi-Oh as my full-time thing. So, obviously I did not sell anything, 100%. I was not going to do that. But I didn't really have much of a group that wanted to play anymore if there wasn't going to be new products, So we played, I just kept up with Vanguard. Not particularly the reveals, because I just got it through the anime pretty much. And I just watched it, and I was like, man, I'm not really seeing the same kind of fights that we used to have in the originals. Vanguard G was just a little off on that. I was like, but some of the cards just look super cool. Like, Altmile was the first time I was interested in a Royal Paladin card. Gear Chronicle looked cool in general. I mean, he's not Dragonic Overlord, but Dragonic Blademaster was really cool. Like, holy, like, and even, obviously I like Narukami, so Dragonic Vanquisher was a really cool one. Take a quick little water break, don't mind me. More talking than I'm normally used to, right? But yeah, I kept watching the show, and then eventually the card shop that I had, they realized, hey, we're moving to a different city or a different town. And I was like, oh, why? And they were like, because the crowd around here is kind of just not enough to make it worthwhile. So instead of expanding, we're gonna have to go back to our original location. And I was like, you know what? Every once in a while, I'll go out and visit, but I didn't want to have to, spend a lot of gas money driving like 30-40 minutes once a week to a place. It just, for a guy that didn't really have like a well-paying job, which, I mean, I was a teenager, how would I have a well-paying job? But I didn't go to locals anymore, pretty much. I was just left alone with these decks on my table, and I got to look back and like think fondly of it. And then there was one day where this shop, and I wish I brought the mat with me, but I kind of didn't think before I came out here to record. I just kind of want to start talking, you know. And they asked me, they were like, hey, I know it's been a bit. We are hosting like a set of regionals for a company, and one of them has to be Vanguard, but we don't know anything about Vanguard. Would you be willing to be a judge? And I said, sure, why not? You know, I hadn't really kept up with the game, like in terms of like all the new reveals, but I was like, it doesn't look like anything exponentially had changed. Not that strides weren't a big deal, but it didn't look like there was stuff where you were really going to sit there and like have to be like, well, what is the ruling on this? This just doesn't make sense, right? So I went to go do this, I went to go host this, well, not host, I went to go judge for this little Vanguard regional. And if you need the time frame, this was set 5, G set 5, I think. Yeah, I think it's G set 5. G set 5 had just dropped. And I got to watch people play Vanguard all day. And it was exhilarating. I had missed it so much. I was seeing decks I had never, like, I might have seen the show, but I hadn't seen anywhere else. Like watching Sanctuary Guard Dragon be viable, I was like, whoa, that's cool. I got to see some Overlord players, and I was like, that makes me happy. Victor was really cool too, you know. I was more of a Blau guy, but Victor like looked really cool. Like he was like a, how do I put it? He was like a mini Gundam. And it was just, and obviously seeing Chaos Breaker come back was not exactly my favorite thing in the world to see, but like, you know, what can I say about that? I'm not a big Link Joker fan. But after the regional, you know, they gave me like, you know, they gave me a box, they gave me a mat. They're like, this is for judging, we appreciate it. I was like, yeah, of course. And then the owner passed me a deck set, and it was the Ren Suzugamori Legend deck. And he was like, we got one of these in, nobody's wanted it. You can, like, if you want to pay for it, you can, but like, we really appreciate you doing this last minute. You can just have it. So I was like, all right, shoot, right? So I had my first set of strides, which came from the Shadow Paladin clan, which was I was okay with, you know. I like Shadow Paladin, and I had a good time, you know, but I didn't really get to play it against anyone because I didn't have anybody. And you know, one day I went to the mall, and this is like a little bit after set 6 had dropped, I want to say, with Transcending the Heavens Alt Mile. And you know, I'm walking through the mall, and I saw they had a game store with my folks, and I was like, I shouldn't walk in. There's no point in walking in. And then I heard this guy like say like, I got a critical trigger. You know, he was excited, and I was like, oh shoot, there's Vanguard there. Hold up. And I went, you know, I went in, and there wasn't very many like Vanguard singles. Like there was a couple stuff to like that I was like, well, I might buy that just because like I've seen it in the show and I was excited. But I got to see people that played Vanguard again. That was really cool. And they were like, yeah, I just wish there was something like a little closer, you know, and you know, closer to home, right? Just some way to play Vanguard that wasn't like an hour away for most people. And a couple, I want to say a week later, near me, a shop opened up, which is the shop I still go to today, except they've moved locations. Shout out to Heroes Edge, you know, they're really nice guys, and they had a bunch of everything, and you know, mostly Yu-Gi-Oh. They didn't have any Vanguard, but they were telling me like, you know, there's another shop that's going to open up too, which will be really cool, and more of a Yu-Gi-Oh show store. But like, if you ever come back here again, you know, we can try to see if we find any Vanguard stuff, and I always appreciated that. It took a bit to get Vanguard going for them, but we'll come back to that later. So this other shop that opened up was in the original spot that the first shop I had was when I was in high school, and I was like, this is perfect. And I kind of had to go there and play Yu-Gi-Oh for a bit because nobody had heard of Vanguard, so I kind of I had to kind of like get friendly with people and then be like, hey, you guys ever heard of Cardfight Vanguard? You know, I had to find some way to convince these people to play. And I couldn't really get a lot of people, but I got so friendly with the, gosh, it's hot in here. I got so super friendly with the owners, and one day they ordered G set 7. They ordered like half of a case of it, and they ordered the Kai Legend deck. They ordered the starter decks that came out around that time. And they were even able to get like a couple boxes of Fighters Collection. And they were like, listen, we're not saying you have to buy this all at once, but you talk about this game all the time. This is what we could get if you are interested. Naturally, I was very interested, right? So I saved up money, I worked on it. I got to pick up Gold Paladins again through the Gurguit start deck, and I was super excited, you know, because I hadn't played Gold Paladin who knows long, right? I got to play Overlord the Legend, which was just really fun because I had one person at the locals that would play with me. And then I started opening up the boxes, and I opened my first SP pack, which was the Gurguit one, and I'd never seen full art Vanguard cards before, like those SPs. I want to say that was the first set that did it, but I'm not 100% sure. But I saw them, and it was amazing, and I was like, oh my god, what? Like, Vanguard got a huge upgrade. Like, this is insane. And the gameplay was just, it was so good. I don't know how else to describe it. It was one of the best times in this card game for me personally. Like, it was just, it was amazing. Like, you had triggers that you were willing to call down because their effects were really good, and you can just use them whenever. I also realize, you probably realize this if you're actually watching the video. If you're not, don't worry about it. I keep making a lot of hand gestures. I don't quite know what I'm doing with my hands, so I apologize. I apologize. But, man, Vanguard set 7 was just, it was so much fun. I got to play Overlord. I got to play Gurguit. I got to start picking up stuff for Blade Master, who, you know, I didn't have the original stuff, which was unfortunate, but I was like, you know what, like, I can pick up the stuff, and if they ever do like a structure deck for it, I'm good to go, right? And then the shop didn't want to get more of it because they were like, well, you were the only one that wanted it, so like, it's gonna take a lot to convince us to get more. And I was like, that's fair. But that second shop that I mentioned, the Hero's Edge, that I still go to today, you know, I helped him get a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players to his store, at least to, like, because they had a lot of cool stuff. Like, I know, you know, not to get off Vanguard for a second, I know, like, a lot of people who played Yu-Gi-Oh would disagree when, like, they see a bunch of, like, random commons and supers and stuff, like Reckless Greed, stuff like that, Upstart. Well, I mean, Upstart's still popular, but, like, you know what I mean, at that time frame. But, like, for me, like, all the stuff they had was really cool because GOAT format was starting to pick up. So I had to tell everyone at the shop that was a Yu-Gi-Oh player, like, hey, check out this place. They got cool stuff. Like, and that helped him get a decent bit of business. And he was like, listen, I don't know what Vanguard is, but if you tell me what you want, I will order it anytime. So G set 8 marked, like, me officially being back to buying Vanguard product. You could say G set 7 was, but, like, this is when I was like, I know I'll consistently be able to get product for this game. And, you know, G set 8 was it was a great time. I got to pick up the Alt Mile deck, the Brave deck, which a lot of people at the time they weren't crazy about, whereas I was like, I don't even care if I got one card in hand, dog. Like, I'm just here to play the game, you know? Swing with my whole board. Go for it, man. But it was a great time. I got more friends that wanted to play Vanguard and realize the, how do I put this? The potential of the game. That the game was genuinely really fun. And then, you know, life went on from there. I hopped on Luard because Luard was a structure deck that I could pick up and was a really fun deck. The Try 3 booster came out, so I got to upgrade. You know, I got to play Chrono Jet. I got to play. I had a buddy that liked Asha, so I gave him the stuff. But I got to play Alt Mile, and it was cool. And then with all the no, it's one more set. Sorry. And then when the next set came out, set 11. Gurgwit got more support. So I had 3 Paladin decks with just new support, and which people made fun of me. They're like, you really had to pick up all the Paladins, but like, shoot, I had the cards, I had to, right? You know? And I stuck playing that. And then set 12 came out, and set 12 was a big game changer for me specifically because I finally got to play Blade Master. And I also got to build a really funny deck that I wasn't able to build before, which was Chrono Fang Tiger. Chrono Fang Tiger, you might be sitting there like, did he get support in that set? I don't remember him getting support in that set. But that set, when I looked at all the stuff in it, I was like, I can finally make a Chrono Fang Tiger deck based around the Zodiac Time Beast and hitting off Demiurge, the Gear Chronicles of Fate GR, and that was the deck, and it worked. I don't know how it worked, but it worked, and it was so great. Like, people hated how like I would randomly like luck in to hitting the 12 different names in bind. We played a game with one buddy where he was like, I'm gonna afford to pass your Chrono Tiger Rebellion. And I flipped a crit, and I just put it on Vanguard, and I flipped another one. Then I flipped a heal, and I flipped a draw, and he left. He walked away. He was like, no way, man. Man. Good old Vanguard G. I should probably stop rambling on that and get to, like, you know, the rest of the story. But afterwards, I went to playing, what was it? Set 13? I think it was just more, I got to play more Chrono Jet again, which was fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And obviously the little Luard buff was really cool. But after, I think it was set 14, like we had the announcement that the format was going to rotate into V. And we're not going to talk too much about V just yet. I do want to finish up Premium and all that. But it was when a lot of people, they had this like little, which I guess is fair in hindsight, but they had this quick like, I don't know if Vanguard's worth playing anymore because they're rotating the game and like everything that we loved about it, and I don't know if that's worth it, right? But because of that and my new found courage to order things online myself, because again, I was still stuck on just using like whatever I pulled out of packs. It was a very long phase for me. And but I saw prices go down for a lot of G decks, so naturally I picked up more different G decks to try, and that was my positive from V format becoming a thing. Was I was able to try out all these other decks I had never tried out, you know? Obviously, there were some decks I really wanted but couldn't pick up because they were still too expensive, which was like Night Rose. I don't know, man. I know Night Rose is like very beloved to the community, but like Night Rose did not have a reason to cost that much. Like, jeez, man. It was so hard to pick up Grand Blue stuff in the original, so Night Rose is just one I just couldn't get on, and Narukami was still also there, so I got to pick up stuff that I actually wanted to pick up for dirt cheap, which is really nice. And then, you know, the end of G happened, and there was a lot of fun stuff that came about that. Overlord, the Purge, the new Zodiac Time Beast stuff, the new Alt Mile stuff. Like, it was great. It was really cool. And it's something, you know, I think about it a lot, you know, probably more than I should, because it's been way past that time. But it was, Vanguard G was some of my favorite Vanguard to play, and I don't think I could, besides like the Overlord the End deck that I had, I can't think of another time where I was genuinely super excited to be slapping down cards, you know. It was probably the peak for me. It was like Overlord the End of G, and then Break Ride format, probably. Like, those were peak times for me, man. Like, even to today, like, those are still top 3. I don't think I could replace them. But when V started, you know, they had announced it was officially called Premium. Premium officially existed. Even though Premium had always existed, Premium officially existed with that title. And it was a little awkward for Premium, because some stuff was expensive, some stuff was not. I was able to get into Premium Grand Blue finally, which was really cool, with like Basskirk as the boss, and like, it was cool. I like that. Obviously, I played Overlord. I mean, if you haven't been taking a shot for every time I've said Overlord in this video, like, oh man, like, I love that deck to a pat. You know, it is a genuine passion with Overlord. I think that deck's super cool, super fun. It just fits how I like to play, like, almost like perfectly, like a tailor knit, you know, glove to my hand. And yeah, that's kind of it with the like V portion of Premium. You know, I didn't really get to explore too many different decks, because I feel like it lost a little bit of its magic because of the 10K triggers and the making the premium strides that were just felt like they're way more powered than they had to be, you know? It felt like the first batch of the premium strides, which is crazy because most of them are like banned, or like at least there's like 5 or 6 of them that were banned. But it felt like some of them were really cool as they included the V stuff with the former stuff, and some of them just didn't feel very flavorful and like wasn't, you know. Again, this is a positive video, but that portion of V was kind of like, for V, for that version of Premium that was included with V cards was kind of lost for me for like the most part. It wasn't until like the V clan collections where I kind of gained more of an interest on trying other things out in Premium besides what I had, which was Grand Blue and Kagero. Even like Gold Paladin, like I'm not an Ezel fan. Well, I'm not a V Ezel fan, which I'll talk about, you know, when we get to the V section. But that was my original Premium experience, and honestly, the only thing that I didn't like about that was the fact that I had like a gap between G Set 1 and G Set 5 where I just wasn't able to get product and play. That's like my only gripe with that entire time. It was such a good time. Also, Geese. I don't like Geese. That'll be the only negative thing in this video. Geese was a mistake, and I'll stand by that. But moving on to V format, you know, I didn't really ever make a video talking about why this format, or when this format died, you know, how I felt about it. And this format had its ups and downs. Like, again, positive video, but it had its ups and downs. The big up for me was Kagero was really fun to play, and the gift marker that was attached to it was really cool. Like, it was fine, right? It was like 10k power. later became you could just get base crit too. Both of those were fine. I thought those were fun ways to play. Original set release, I had determined I did not like Protect and I did not like Excel, because Excel just did not feel like Vanguard, and to this day I still don't think it feels like Vanguard. And Protect, I was like, there feels something like gross about this, and I realized the gross thing was just Oracle Think Tank at the time, because once I played Granblue, I was like, no, wait, Protect is actually kind of cool. It's just Oracle Think Tank is kind of ruining it for everyone else. But we played, I was able to buy, I think we bought, cases of like the first 4 or 5 sets. I think the last set we bought a case, oh no, we bought a lot, because we as a group pooled together for it. The last case that we bought, or the last set we bought a case of was like the Messianic Lord Blaster one with Dragonic Overlord the Great, Illuminal Dragon, and Brant, I think was his name. I didn't like that guy. But I went through a lot during that times in terms of my Vanguard taste, because it was originally just, I knew what I liked, which was Kagero, Gold Paladin, Narukami, Gear Chronicle, and Granblue. Those were like the big 5 that I really liked, and everything else, and Shadow Paladin. Can't forget Shadow Paladin. But V, there were certain things I just couldn't really get into. Like obviously I said Excel and Protect, but the Excel and Protect made it hard for me to want to play Narukami or Gold Paladin, and so I mostly just stuck on Gear Chronicle, Kagero, and Shadow Paladin, which was fine. There's nothing wrong with that. No negativity there. It just wasn't for me. And you know what? Later at the end of the format, I ended up liking a couple of Excel decks, and it worked out, and I'll talk about those. But once we got like a couple more sets in, I mean, the big thing is we got Overlord the End in V format, which was everything I wanted. Like, a chance to play Overlord is a great time for me. It is everything I could want. But let me do that real quick. There we go. But as things go, they made a brand new anime series, the Shinamon arc, and they introduced new stuff. And for once, I wasn't as interested in the Force deck, because God Hand Dragon was really cool, and Akatsuki Hanzo was really cool. Not to mention Malkuth Melik that came out later in it, but we're gonna get there, right? And it was fun. I don't know, like V had a lot of issues, but V for some reason was really fun, and I at the time I couldn't figure a way to be nostalgic about it, but as soon as V ended, they stopped making support for it. They're just random things I felt super nostalgic for. Not as much as G or the originals or anything, but there's something really nostalgic and really cool about V Premium. I mean, Overlord was really cool. Blade Master was really cool. Phantom Blaster Dragon. I know people thought the deck sucked, but God, it was so much fun just killing 3 of your rear guards, getting 15k in a crit, and just punching your opponent, Obviously, God Hand, Akatsuki Hanzo, Malkuth Melik was really cool. Chrono Fang Tiger reunited with my love. Unfortunately, he was didn't have the bind mechanic, which I was really looking forward to, but I thought it was really funny. We had a joke in our group. That because you'd put Force 2 on him and you just swing for the fences, that he was like the king killer, because whatever people said, hey, this is the best deck in the format, Chrono Fang was taking down every time. In our group, that's just what happened, and Revan, I was never an Aquaforce guy before, but the amount of smack that my friend talked about Revan because he couldn't get into the play style of it. And so I picked it up. Like, he gave me his deck and I played it. Revan was such a cool deck, and if I don't have it still, I feel like I have it somewhere in my house, but if I don't have it still, I gotta pick that deck up again, because it was so much fun. The extra attacks, the minusing by 5, it was everything, right? But yeah, there was a lot about V. You know, the first, I'd say most of it was like, there were lots of bits that felt off, and it didn't really feel on until they did the V clan collections, because the design was really cool, the decks were really fun, and honestly, when they stopped doing them, I was genuinely upset, because I was sitting there like, no, you could have made so many other things. Like, I understand for some nations they couldn't, like, they were like, well, we don't know what to do, so we'll give you this, I guess, or like this original unit. You know, Nubatama was a good example, Mirakumo was a good example. Like, they struggled with decks like that to give them like a new, like a boss, because they were just like, oh, Tachikaze too, because they were just like, we don't think people like these clans, so we don't know what's nostalgic for them, to be honest. And it's like, okay, that's fair, I guess. But it was just, the V Clan collections were really cool, and I hope they would have at least made like one more wave, because God, they were cool. They brought back so many cool decks, so many cool designs. I'm rambling. You signed up for this. I'm sorry. If you made it this far in the video, I'm really sorry that you've just been listening to me gush about this game consistently. But yeah, that's, you know, again, I don't want to talk too much about standard, right? That's just not the point of the video. But you know, I'm a standard channel. I post a lot of standard stuff. But I do want to start posting premium stuff. I don't have a lot of premium like stuff in general, right? But there are a couple decks that I think are really fun, and I'm going to pick up, and I'm going to post those. When I find my V stuff, I'm probably going to post stuff for those too, because I like V format. And I mean, shoot, probably like some original stuff, you know? I still have like my original set of Overlord the Ends at home, chilling out. There's no reason I can't build a set 5 list and be like, guys, it's 2026 and I'm still stuck here, right? You know? But yeah, that's, you know, this is kind of a very ranty, I didn't really think through exactly what I wanted to say, except for specifically like the very first line of the video. I don't have a script or anything. I'm just kind of, you know, shooting thoughts out of my head and hoping someone is finding them mildly entertaining, or that, you know, a future me can look back at this video and wonder what kind of drugs I'm on, you know. I mean, yeah, this is just, it's Vanguard, man. I love Vanguard. I think it's one of the greatest games ever. I think it had the potential to be one of the greatest games ever, but, you know, things happen. I understand. I can't judge. No negativity towards Standard. For this video, no negativity towards Bushiroad, you know. It's just, Vanguard was great, man, you know. I'm looking back, and I've definitely given like sort of an abridged version of my Vanguard history. I've probably left out more than I should have, you know. But that would have made this video way longer than it probably already is. I don't even know where we're at. But yeah, man, Vanguard was it for me. It's everything. And it pains me to see these formats go, but I don't want to be sad about it. I want to look back and reminisce about these formats rather than be sad or angry that the company has chosen to do something against its players' wishes. And that's how I feel on this video. I feel that the time that I've spent with Premium and V Premium is irreplaceable, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And whether you still play the formats on the side, whether you've quit the game and gone to other things, and most importantly, if you're a standard player, too, like, I hope that if you've listened to this entire video through, I hope these thoughts reach you and they either make you want to speak of your experience and your nostalgia, or if you're a standard player, I want you to maybe get a chance to really learn about old Vanguard. Look up some stuff, and obviously I'll try to post some stuff so I can show you like what it was like for me back in the day. But just go out there and explore, man. This card game is so great, and I really can't. I promise I'm not crying. There's just an itch in my eye. I swear to God, no crying, just an itch in my eye. It was kind of bothering me for a bit. I was trying to stay focused. I couldn't stay focused for that one. But yeah, just look up Vanguard, man. Like, if you have loved anything you've played of Vanguard, just look up more of it. Experience this game, because it's wonderful, man. And again, I'm rambling. I don't have a script, but I mean this whole video with my whole heart that I love Cardfight Vanguard, and I'm sorry to see some of its formats go, but I won't feel sad about it. I'm gonna remember it only in a positive light, because for me, that is what Cardfight Vanguard has always been. Positive. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope to see you soon. And if you made it to the end of this video, shout out to you, man. I could not have made it through this video, honestly, but no, for real. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I hope to keep posting stuff that will be in my interest, so that you can keep seeing how I feel about this game, the things that I love. And that's it. Have a good one, guys. Peace.